this is the main event of the evening. And now, it's time!
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the main event of the evening. Alongside my brother Enrique Contreras, I am Jose Contreras, and what a show we have for you all today. But first and foremost, let's introduce my co-host Ricky. What's up, man?
What's going on, man? I'm glad to be back and ready to do the show. Let's do it.
That's right. If you guys are watching, we are live right now on Star 6 Media and on the JCA Sports page. You guys can catch us live every week on Tuesday. This is a live episode. This will re-air tonight at 8 p.m. On the same pages on YouTube, on Twitch, on Twitter, on Facebook, here at Star 6 Media. So make sure to follow us and watch us every single week. As my brother and I dive into combat sports. We talk UFC, we talk Bellator, we talk AEW, WWE, boxing, you name it. This is the show you want to be if you're into all that. And let's get right into it, Ricky. First and foremost, with UFC 287 that happened this past Saturday, Pereira versus Adesanya 2. And then before we get into the main event, let's get into the co-main event because we had a pretty good match between Gilbert Burns and Jorge Masvidal, and a shocking retirement at the end. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Yep. Ricky Gilbert Burns defeated Jorge Masvidal via decision. I think you and I both saw it going this way. We both knew Burns was going to come out the winner.
Right.
But Masvidal has been on a losing streak. He hasn't looked the same. Since this losing streak has started.
Right.
And afterwards, man, he went out and he retired. It's been a hell of a career for Masvidal. But before we even get into that, what did you see in this fight between these two guys?
There was some respect going into the first round. Neither guy was not willing to engage right away. There was a respect for both guys' stand up and both guys' power. But in the end, it's just like it's the same thing with Masvidal. He hasn't really got the wrestling down pat. And as soon as Gilbert Burns was able to take him down, he held him down there for a while. And for anybody that does jujitsu and wrestling, it is taxing, very, very, very tiring. It saps your energy. So then by the time they got back up, Burns was getting the upper hand in the stand up, and he landed a lot of clean shots. Masvidal had some moments there, but it was really all Gilbert Burns throughout this entire fight.
Yeah, no, 100% has been all Gilbert Burns. But again, it's one of those matchups you and I both saw. We knew Gilbert Burns was going to come in. We kind of knew he was going to be victorious, and we knew he had a really good chance of dominating this fight. But at the same time, you always got to respect the other fighter and their ability to strike. And Jorge Masvidal has been one of those guys that can strike with anybody. He's been dangerous. He's been lethal. We've seen the knockout power. We've seen the knockout, the highlight reel that he has with knockouts and finishing his opponents. But that just wasn't the case this time around. Why do you think that was?
It's again. I think it was because Gilbert Burns again started out as a jiu-jitsu guy. He's also a good wrestler, and the thing about it in mixed martial arts, when you're standing up against a guy who's much better at you in the ground, you get a little hesitant trying to come in and trying to land some of your shots. That we saw that with Masvidal against Covington, and we saw it a little bit here after Gilbert Burns put him down there, held him down there, and by the time Masvidal got up, not only was he tired because it is very tiring, but he was also having to worry about another takedown from Burns. So I think that was what really contributed to not really performing well in this fight.
Yeah, Ricky. Right afterwards, Jorge Masvidal went on and retired. Said this was his last fight. He appreciated all the memories that he's had in the UFC, all the knockouts, like the fans. He seemed emotional, as anybody would be after fighting for
Right.
so long. Were you thrown off by this retirement? Were you surprised that he came out and did it, or did you see the writing on the wall before this fight, and even during the fight when he was losing?
Right. Yeah, I see the writing was on the wall. He himself said that if he lost this fight, that he was going to retire because that would be 4 straight losses in a row. So yeah, and then especially during the fight when he was when he's being held down, I didn't think he was any chance of coming back after that.
Yeah.
Um, and he did it in front of his home crowd. So what I mean, not a bad way to go out, I guess. Saying goodbye to your hometown crowd, but um, you know, this is pretty much, I think on everybody's mind that this was probably going to be it if he lost, because if he had won, I have no doubt that he would have leapfrogged Kobe Covington and got a title shot against Leon Edwards.
I was gonna be like, really, but then now that I think about it, I was like, yeah, he's one of those guys that suffers from Dana White privilege. So yeah, 100%,
Yeah,
I agree with that. I agree with that for sure. Um,
but
yeah, Ricky. I mean, thinking about just sticking with that real quick. What does that
yeah,
What does that mean to you? Seeing Jorge Masvidal and his incredible career, because he has had an incredible career.
right,
Definitely. Want a highlight reel. That
yeah,
flying knee that he did to Ben Askren is going to be forever one of the greatest knockouts of all time. But when you look back on
yeah.
Jorge Masvidal's career, what does that mean to you?
I look at a guy. Look, he said it in many stories. Stories that he's told about his upbringing. His father came from Cuba during that whole Castro reign over there. Came over here, and Masvidal even said that at one point he was living in his car. He was dirt poor. He was fighting in Kimbo Slice's backyard during those street fights, and that was when he got to be known. He fighting in the YouTube fights, and then he came into mixed martial arts. And I will say this, man, he grinded. I mean, if you look at his past fights in the UFC, this dude used to fight three times a year. The dude was absolutely grinding to try to become a big star, to try to become champion. It wasn't
Yeah,
until 2019. 2019 was his year. 2019 was the year that he became a big star, that he became a millionaire after knocking out Ben Askren with the fastest knockout in UFC history, still to this day. And I don't think it'll ever be beat. 5 seconds. It was only 5 seconds because the referee didn't make it in time. Otherwise, it probably would have been like 2 or 3 seconds. You
right.
know what I'm saying? So, um, yeah, that flying knee changed his life for sure. Financially and and professionally in the sport. He knocked out Darren Till that year. Then he knocked out Ben Askren with the knee, and then he beat Nate Diaz in a fight that made a lot of money for the UFC at the time.
Yep.
And and then if you look at that, and then after he got paid, I think he lost the hunger to fight, in my opinion. Like, yeah, after he got paid, he became a millionaire. He became a made man. When he fought Kamaru Usman the first time, he got paid a lot of money. And that was in 2020. He only fought once that year. And then the following year, 2021, fought Usman again, gets knocked out. That was the only time he fought that year. And then look at 2022, fights Kobe Covington. That's the only time he fought that year, and he lost. So you see the decline from 2019. I think that was his peak. 2019 was his peak. That was when he became a made guy. And then after that, after he got paid, I think he lost the hunger to fight. He has other business ventures now. He has a promotion, Game Bred Boxing, and I think bare knuckle fighting or MMA. So he's doing pretty good for himself, man. He secured the bag, and
Yep.
he's taking care of it now. He's taking care of his family. So um, if anything, he did very well for himself. He became a big star, and he's made a lot of money now. So that's how I
Yeah.
see it.
You guys are watching the main event brought to you by Star Six Media here on Star Six Media. Get into the comments. We have Eric. What's up, Eric? Said, what up, fellas?
What's
So
up,
he's
Eric?
missing champion soccer to watch us. We really appreciate that, man. Hey, look, we're better than soccer. All right. The sports that we're talking about are better than soccer. Okay. So I appreciate it, but don't think that you're doing something special. Okay. You're welcome. No, I'm just playing. We appreciate you, Eric. Appreciate you watching. If you guys want to hop on, you definitely can. I'll drop the link in a bit. He says lies. I'll drop the link in a bit. You guys want to hop on? We're going to talk. We have a lot of wrestling to get to. As of right now, we're talking UFC 287. Yeah, I agree with everything you said. That Ben Askren knockout from Jorge Masvidal way back when was amazing. His career, he's had a great career. I mean, back in the Kimbo Slice days, man, he was one of those tough fighters coming up, and definitely made a career out of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, here we are, man.
Look,
Congratulations to him on a great
he
career,
even
and
he
hopefully,
he he even got that tattooed on his shoulder, that flying knee.
yeah,
Like, again, that made him a rich man. So there you go.
yep, yep,
Congratulations to him, and happy retirement to Jorge Masvidal.
yeah. Happy retirement for sure for Jorge Masvidal. All right, Ricky. For Gilbert Burns, though, Ricky, he defeated Jorge Masvidal. What does this do for him? This is going to be even higher. I mean, this is it's not like
Oh,
Jorge Masvidal was somebody that was above him in the rankings. This was kind of a fight that Dana White put together because he knew, or at least he thought, it was going to be a banger. That wasn't the case. Burns did what we thought he would do, which was
mm,
dominate.
mhm.
But now what? What happens here from Burns?
I think he should get the next title shot, in my opinion. I mean, if it ain't gonna be Hamza Chimaev, we really don't know what's going on with him. We
Man,
haven't heard anything about
he's
him.
calling out everybody in the middleweight division, bro.
Well, then move the fuck up to the middleweight division already, man. I think he's a huge problem from Adesanya. That's I think
Oh
so,
yeah,
man.
one
But
hundred percent.
yeah, but yeah, I think he should get the next title shot. I don't think Kobe Covington deserves it. Even as much as Dana White says it that he came in and he cut the weight and was the backup for Usman and Edwards. Burns has been busy. He's been active and he's been
Yeah,
winning. So in the post fight press conference, he said that he wants to get the next title shot after Covington and Edwards. Even though I think he should have just called it out right away. Hey, I want to be next no matter what. Fuck Kobe Covington. But he made an ultimatum to Dana White. You're like, I want to be the next in line after that fight. If I don't get it, you just release me from my contract. That's what he said.
yeah,
And
I
Dana
agree.
and Dana and Dana White said, "Oh, fine, done deal." So he's absolutely going to get the next crack at the title, whether it's against Edwards now or after the result of Edwards and Covington. So that's what's next for him.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100%. It all depends, believe it or not, on Hazmat Chimaev. If Chimaev, who defeated Burns already, if he wants to come back down to the welterweight division and take a crack at it, as I think he should. I don't know why he's trying to move up in the first place. But if maybe making the weight is his issue, and that's which is the reason why he's going up to middleweight. But if that's the case, fine. But I believe he should be the one that deserves a title shot. I really
Yeah,
wanted to see him versus Kamaru Usman. That's not happening anymore.
right,
in more ways
right,
than in more ways than not. Um,
right.
so I would love to see a fight between him and Adesanya. Not saying Leon Edwards isn't a great matchup. I think that'd be awesome to fight to see too. But
Yeah,
yeah, Burns definitely 100% gets the next title shot after Covington. I agree with you. He should get it before Covington, or at least have Burns versus Covington to see who gets that title shot. Why
yeah.
that
Even
why
that
that is the case, but Dana White's in charge, and
privilege.
he has some Vince McMahon tendencies in him.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And then now the news of the merger. It just it
Right,
just right.
right. That's what I'm
Him and
saying.
Vince McMahon are alike in many ways.
Yeah, very, very, very much alike in many, many ways. All right, Ricky. Let's get into the main event of the UFC 287. Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya. This is literally what their fourth fight total.
Fourth fight overall, yeah. Between two different sports, but
Yeah,
1-1 in the UFC. I mean, or actually, yeah, two fights in the UFC. This is the second
yeah,
fight in the
yeah. I
UFC.
mean, we'll stick with the UFC, right? This is their second fight in the UFC. Alex Pereira,
Right.
in the first one, knocks Israel Adesanya out in the fifth round, taking away his middleweight championship. Now it's Pereira defending that middleweight title against Israel Adesanya,
Hmm.
and it couldn't have been complete opposite. It did not go 5 rounds; it went two, and Israel Adesanya was victorious. Ricky, he knocked out Alex Pereira in
Cold.
look, the first punch that really rocked him. That second punch didn't even look like like there was any power to it, but you just know there was because Adesanya just has that strength.
Yeah, and then he got him right in the temple, right on the button, right on the button. He got him right there. That with that second punch that put him completely out.
Yeah,
So
literally, it was literally right in the button. Because I'm telling you, it didn't look as if there was any power to it. It just looked like he just tapped him, but like you said, right on the button, and that was it. And it's like it was like a factory reset. Everything that that Pereira had just shut down. His whole
yeah,
mental system, nervous system, it all just went
yeah,
collapse, and he
everything.
fell. He was out, Ricky. This man was out. Like he wasn't moving. Looked like he wasn't breathing. Eyes were open. It was a scary sight. But for Adesanya, a very emotional win because this is a guy. Like I said, this is their fourth fight,
Yeah,
second in the UFC. But Israel Adesanya lost every single fight they had against each other and and lost decisively. Well, at least maybe two of them he was knocked out. So
yeah,
he had revenge on his mind, and revenge is what he got. What did you see in this fight, man? Because wow,
man. First of all, um, What I saw here in this fight was kind of the opposite of the first.
Yeah.
Like in the first UFC fight, Adesanya was winning that entire fight up until the fifth round.
Yep.
In this one, it looked like Pereira was getting the upper hand by the time we roll into the second round. He was beating the shit out of Adesanya's leg, and it was
Yeah.
starting to get compromised. It was starting to get, even though but Adesanya was still in this fight. He was still landing back, but Pereira was there with him, and he was beating the shit out of the leg. By the time we got to the second round, it looked. I mean, he got him. He kicked him in the leg again. He got compromised. Adesanya fell back into the cage, and once I saw that, I thought, oh, here we go. It's over. I literally thought on the spot, it's over. And Pereira's gonna land that left hook, and it's gonna be done. That's not what happened. Adesanya defended well against the cage, landed a 1-2, the same combination. If you think of look, the same combination that he landed in the first round of the first fight. You got to look back at it. Remember in
Yeah.
the first round of the
I
first
see.
fight where he tagged him
Yep.
and almost knocked him out in the first round?
Yep. I seen that. I seen the clips of
It
it.
was
Like it was literally overhand. The overhand right is what he threw.
yeah. The overhand right. The same exact combination right there. But
Yep.
this time he got him. He stunned him again, but then he went back to it again, landed that punch right on the button right there on the temple and put him out. Landed a hammer fist on the at the bottom, and then that was it. That celebration that he did with the bow and arrow, man, just awesome shit to see, man. You can see the emotion that he had, like that he just really wanted to beat this guy. Everybody thought this guy had his number. He was his kryptonite, so it had to be ultra satisfying for him to actually finally get this guy and knock him out.
The emotion. I mean, I felt the emotion in the screen. Rick. I was, working my new schedule. I was kind of dozing off throughout the fight, but when I saw that, I jumped up and I screamed because I just almost knew what he felt in that moment because as you said, like that has been a monkey on his back for his entire career. He's been such a dominant champion in this middleweight division in the UFC. He's literally made the rounds. He ran laps around everybody. He defeated everybody decisively. It didn't matter who it was. You put it in
Mhm.
front of him, and Israel Adesanya was the best fighter in that octagon. But when it came to Alex Pereira, it was like he was his kryptonite. It was like he just couldn't get past him. And in the last fight, he was winning the entire fight, only to get knocked down literally moments before the round even ended. It's but that's what I'm saying. Like for him to come back and not only win and not only finally beat Pereira, but to knock him out and to knock him out cold and to
Yeah,
knock him out cold early just solidified everything that we all already knew that this man is one of the best, if not the best, middleweights this division has ever had in its history. And again, just imagine overcoming the one thing you could never overcome. We've seen
yeah,
it in that celebration. Three bow and arrows. To me, that signified those three fights where he lost to Pereira,
yep,
shot him, and celebrated. Even went to his son, pointed at Pereira's son, and dropped dead, kind of taunting him, just how Pereira's son did to him way back when.
yeah.
Um,
That was pretty funny.
yeah, I mean, the raw emotion, I loved it. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. But congratulations to Israel Adesanya, man, because what a fight, what a celebration, what a match, what a moment. But
Yeah.
if you're Alex Pereira, Ricky, what happens now? I mean, you beat this guy every single time. He finally knocked you out. Is this the tide turning? Are you looking at Israel like, holy crap? Okay, this is different. There has to be a rematch, right?
I mean, I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't. I mean, look, 3-1 overall, right, across two sports, but 1-1 in the UFC.
Yeah,
All right. So yeah, a rematch makes sense to me, but at the same time, um, Alex Pereira cuts a lot of weight. He cuts I mean, this dude walks around when he's not training, walks around at 220 plus. He's a heavyweight when he
yeah.
when
I
he's
was
not
gonna, I
fighting.
was gonna say he was 219 at the fight.
Yeah, yeah. So, and he cuts a lot of weight to get to 100. I mean, there was even reports that at the ceremonial weigh-ins, he needed to cut 2 more pounds to make the weight that same day. So it's not a very easy cut for him. The dude is massive. He's a monster.
Yeah,
Um, so moving up to 205, I think would be best for him in his career. I think he would do very well in that division,
in the light heavyweight division,
in the light heavyweight division. Yeah, 205.
they need stars.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, they do, man. Especially with the way the title pictures look in there, man. Ever since John Jones left,
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
it's all over the place, right?
Right,
It's all over the place. We've already had like I think 4 champions now in the
right.
past 2-3 years,
Yep.
but um, so yeah, that would be a good that would be a good thing for him, for his health, for his career, moving up to 205. But if he fights Adesanya again, you get no complaints out of me. I don't mind seeing that again. I mean, these guys have now already knocked each other out, you know, in the UFC. So these guys are, there's a real rivalry here with these guys. So
Real
I'm
rivalry at
more,
one hundred
so
percent.
yeah, so I wouldn't
It's
mind seeing it again if they do it.
it's probably the only natural like real rivalry UFC has right now. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah,
say natural because it's not one that they just put together, right away. No, this is a rivalry that's dated back for years, even
yeah,
before both these guys came into the UFC. This is a
yeah,
legit rivalry. And
yeah,
now,
and it's not
you're gonna,
personal too, because they
yeah,
respect the hell out of each other after the fight.
right.
But this is a legit rivalry. Bragging rights. I mean, who's better? It's perfect, man. It's just I love it.
Yeah, and if you're Dana White and Israel Adesanya, you don't count whatever happened before the UFC. Everything that happened outside of the UFC, that doesn't exist. Like if I'm Dana White, or if I'm Israel Adesanya, that doesn't exist because that was a different time, and Israel Adesanya is a way different fighter now than he was back then.
Yeah,
This version of Israel Adesanya is 1-1 against this version of Alex Pereira. Both guys are on the highest level of their careers. They're both in their prime. So a third fight to me in the UFC makes tons of sense. The
mhm,
rubber match that solidifies the rivalry, solidifies who's legit the best middleweight. But I agree with you that weight cut is real for Alex Pereira. It's what 185 that you have
185.
to weigh in. When you have to weigh
Yeah,
in 185, and think about it, not even 24 hours later, he's already back up to 219.
yeah, yeah. I'm
Like
telling you, man. I mean, yeah,
what?
it's insane. It's an insane weight cut, and it's not good for him either, man. It's not good for your health
No.
when you're a guy that big. So,
Like how?
as
How do
much as
you
I would
how do
love
you
to,
gain so much weight in less than 24 hours? You must have been starving yourself, depriving
oh,
yourself.
oh yeah, yeah, dude.
Crazy.
And then sometimes look, not to take anything away from Adesanya and what he did here, but sometimes when guys cut that much weight, it affects their performance. Come fight night, they become more susceptible to being knocked out. We've seen it many times in the past, but you know, again, uh, I believe light heavyweight 205 is the best era. As much as I would love to see a trilogy, and between these two here in the UFC, yeah, I think he should move up, man.
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense. It'll definitely benefit him in the long run for sure. If there's a third fight and he loses, I say do it. If he wins, then there you go.
Yeah,
But I mean, if he's okay with cutting that weight, sure. But yeah, it's gonna catch up to him eventually.
yeah,
And I mean, if you're Israel Adesanya, regardless of the fact, man, you're the best middleweight in my opinion.
yeah.
Credit to him. What does this do for him, Ricky? Obviously, we've all know how great he is, but what does this win against Alex Pereira do for Israel Adesanya?
Well, um, here's the thing, man. Up until he fought Pereira the first time, his fights have been nothing special.
Yeah,
Um,
really. Yeah, it's true.
yeah, he fought Robert Whitaker the second time. We expected it to be good, but it didn't live up to what I thought would have been good. Then Jared Cannonier, and then Marvin Vittori. These were all kind of lackluster fights that he would dominate. It looked like he was getting bored there for a minute. It wasn't
That's
until
what I think it
Pereira,
was.
yeah. So, and it wasn't until Pereira got hot, fast track to the title shot where, oh, now things are getting interesting. Now we're starting to see the Adesanya that we know, right?
Yeah,
So hopefully this doesn't mean that now that he's knocked off Pereira, and if they don't end up fighting again, that it doesn't go back to the same thing with Adesanya, right? I think the only way that it won't happen is if Hamza Chimaev does come up to the middleweight division and then gets fast tracked to the title against Adesanya. That is a very interesting fight, and I think he is a very legit threat for Adesanya's reign, his second reign as middleweight champion.
Hamzat Chimaev is a threat to anybody at any weight class with any title. Uh, in the welterweight, we all thought he was gonna be the one guy to dethrone Kamaru Usman when Kamaru Usman had that run. That ended up being Leon Edwards. But for whatever
Mhm.
reason, Hamzat Chimaev just threw away the welterweight division and was like, you know what, I want to go up to middleweight.
Yeah,
And it looks like he's licking his chops right now
right.
with Israel Adesanya. And you're right. That match, that fight, if if it does end up coming to fruition sooner rather than later, will be amazing. 100% amazing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think it's also I think also with Hamzat is a weight issue too. I think 170 is a lot of weight for him to cut. Like his last fight he didn't make weight. And
Yeah,
he's a
no.
big guy. He's a big guy too. So
Yeah.
yeah, probably a 185 might be his landing spot eventually. And I think that would be good for him too.
Yeah. And the guy's he's very outspoken, not your typical humble fighter. And
No.
both guys will definitely make for great TV for sure.
Oh yeah. Pay-per-view, whatever, man. Yeah.
Yep.
Bring it. Yeah. Sign me up. I want to see that fight.
Yeah, I do too. I do too for sure. You guys listening to the main event brought to you by Star Six Media. Make sure to follow us at Star Six Media. Follow us on Instagram at Star Six Media. That's where we will post all our show content. You'll see other content from all our other shows, JCA Sports Podcast, Only Football, um, Slot Shot, EAFP, you name it.
Right.
We have a plethora of shows covering all types of sports here on Star Six Media. You don't want to miss it. And again, once again, you can follow us at Star Six Media on Instagram. All right, Ricky, let's get into some wrestling. We got a lot to talk about in the wrestling business. Um, you know, both AEW and WWE. There's plenty of news out there,
Yep.
and I guess let's start with AEW. And one of the biggest, free agents signings that I guess both companies were looking to sign in Switchblade Jade White.
Yep.
Well, he chose and he signed with All Elite Wrestling. He's now at AEW. Did not sign with WWE. I was shocked, and then I think about it, I'm like, maybe I'm not. Maybe I shouldn't have been so shocked. I thought WWE had a legitimate chance, but
Yeah.
it just didn't come out. I guess it just didn't turn out to be. Ricky, why do you think that is?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious, right?
Right.
I'm with you. I thought WWE had a real shot at getting him, and I almost thought he was going to go over there.
Yeah.
Even though he had a lot of his friends in AEW that he would have easily been able to walk right in. But with all the news coming out about Vince McMahon being back and creative with WWE and the Endeavor deal merging WWE and C that also allows Vince McMahon to be part of creative or part of the company or with the day to day or whatever. I think that might have, I don't know, maybe word got back to Switch. We don't know exactly if Switchblade had already put the deal with it within AEW before WrestleMania or whatever, or he probably would have got tipped off and say, "Hey, don't come over here or don't go over there. Your man's back in power. You're better off coming to AEW." So I think he made the right choice because if he did go to WWE with all this uncertainty going on over there in WWE and Vince McMahon being in power or being or watching from afar from that's what I've heard today that he's watching even though he's not there, he's still watching, he still has the final say. Now,
Yeah.
um I don't think he would have booked Jay White to his potential. So yeah, that is why he went to AEW.
Who do you think? If that was true, and I agree with you. I think somebody tipped him off. Who do you think it would be in WWE? Who do you think would be the one? Hey, you know what? Maybe you should think
It didn't
twice
have
about
to
signing.
it didn't have to necessarily be anybody in WWE. It could have been someone in AEW, one of his buddies. They're like, "Hey man, do you see what's going on over there?" I mean, the old man is back in power. Are you sure you trust your career with him? Booking your matches. He's like, nope. I don't. I mean, I know I wouldn't.
Right.
I wouldn't. So
I,
yeah.
wa-
So
I, wa-
it
I
could
was
it,
thinking.
it
I
could
was
have
thinking
easily.
more.
Who are you
I
thinking?
was thinking more of the AJ Styles and the Good Brothers. AJ Styles and Carl Anderson because we haven't seen none of them. And last time I checked, they were on WWE.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good point. We AJ Styles was not on the WrestleMania card. The Good Brothers, we haven't seen them. Yeah, that's that could be too. I doubt it's Cody. I doubt it's Cody that's telling them,
No,
don't come
Cody.
over here.
Cody's on top of the world right now.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a good point. That is
His former Bullet Club members. You know
right.
what I mean? Like, but no, but I agree with you. I was shocked that they didn't have. I mean, because I was always under the impression like, you know what, he might just show up in NXT. Because I was thinking if he's gonna come in WWE, he's gonna go in through the NXT ranks first. You know what I mean? They're gonna work with him in NXT,
Mm.
build his character, and then maybe bring him into WWE. That was just my way of doing it. I mean, that's what they did to Adam Cole.
Well,
And I
yeah,
figured,
but that was under the Triple H reign in NXT, not the
right, oh,
Shawn Michaels.
it's Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, but come on, man. I think he should have been if he was going to come to WWE, he should have went straight to the main roster, SmackDown, preferably.
Okay, I mean, regardless, I thought they had a legitimate chance. That didn't turn out to be as you mentioned. I agree. I think it had to do with Vince McMahon, lingering around, still having say so power, and
Yeah,
as you mentioned, this new Endeavor deal that WWE signed. Giving Endeavor was a 51% shareholder.
yeah,
They're now 51% of shareholders
yep, yep.
with
And
WWE 49%.
and WWE retaining 49%. Yep.
Yeah, so this merger made sense. It's pretty cool to see what exactly they're able to do, but at the same time, the one thing that was the issue, why that issue is coming back, Ricky, I have no idea. Why the hell is Vince McMahon rearing his ugly head once again? Why is he coming back? Does he not see that this has been thriving without him? Or does he feel like, you know what? Look at this company's still doing good and it's all because of me. Because I left it to Triple H the way, for him to be able to be successful. This guy
I'm sure that's what's on his mind. Yeah,
he's a huge narcissist.
huge ego. Um, and then not to mention, he's been friends with the CEO of Endeavor, Ari Emanuel, for 20 years.
Yeah.
And if you saw the MSNBC interview that they both did, dude, dude is just sucking up to Vince, like just just marking out to him, like, oh, Vince, I can't do this without you. I will not do this deal if you're not involved. This type of bullshit, man. Like, come on. So that's why he's there. And even though he's not going to retain much of all the power that he once had, he has a friend in Ari Emanuel that'll let him do whatever he wants.
Yeah. So in all reality, nothing's changed for him.
No, and
Just
so
just less responsibility for the company, which is probably what he wanted anyways, given his old age.
right.
For win-win for Vince McMahon.
Oh yeah,
100%.
he still has his hand in it, but he doesn't have to do as much. So there you go. And then he got his money. Um, but yeah, back to Switchblade Jay White. Yeah, AEW was the right choice,
Yeah.
and hopefully he doesn't get lost in the shuffle. Hopefully he's in big programs right now. I think he's feuding with Ricky Starks.
Yep.
So hopefully everything goes good for him, man. He's a legit star. He
Oh
could be
yeah.
something. He could be something big for the company.
Yeah, 100%. Which is one of the reasons why I was hoping for him to go to WWE, because those are the type of wrestlers they need. Those are the type of stars they need.
Yeah,
It's not a coincidence that Cody Rhodes came back, from a hiatus, coming from AEW, and became a star.
mhm.
I don't know if you noticed this, Ricky, but the guys that seem to come from the Indies or from New Pro Japan, they are better on the mic than a lot of the guys in WWE.
Yeah,
And I don't know if it's because they're giving, freedom creatively to say what they want or practice what they say, and or they
that's
do more
exactly
of
it.
it.
That's
You know,
exactly it.
but they like Cody, like, say what you want about Cody Rhodes. On the mic, the guy's flawless. He is so good.
He's good on the mic, but he takes too long to get to the point. In my for my taste,
He tells a story. It's poetic when it comes to Cody.
right?
That's why I appreciate it. I appreciate because, but you get the same from guys like Samoa Joe. You get the same from guys like MJF.
Yeah.
And these are guys, like I said, who aren't homegrown from WWE.
No, they all
You know,
came from the Indies.
yeah.
So
So
yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's because of that. They're given a lot more leeway, a lot more freedom. It's like they're like they are their product and they're selling their product,
yeah,
right? So you gotta, and then they're being themselves turned all the way up to 10. That is exactly what it is. In
Yep.
WWE, the system that's there now, you're not allowed to be that. You're not allowed. You got to read from a script. You got to say certain things. You can't say certain things, and that's how it is. That's just how it is. It's been like that now for a long time. But yeah, I agree with you. The guys that come from New Japan Pro Wrestling, from the Indies, from other promotions, other smaller promotions, these guys a lot more better on the mic because they're allowed to be themselves.
Yep. And that's why I feel like that. Cody Rhodes is working out because of stuff like that. They could use like the nights like last night on Monday Night Raw. You don't have Roman Reigns, who's your champion. He's
Mhm.
not there.
Right.
Brock Lesnar, who just dismantled Cody the week before, isn't there.
Hmm.
You have top guys that aren't there. You're
Right.
not utilizing. I mean, was Bianca Belair? I don't even remember seeing her. But like, there, on a night where you're missing so many stars, you have someone like Cody, who isn't wrestling, by the way, but he could still cut a good promo,
Hmm.
keeping those guys relevant. Talking about Roman Reigns, talking about Brock Lesnar. He's keeping those guys relevant, and that I think gets lost in the shuffle of it all. That's why having good communication skills in an entertainment business like this is so important, especially when you have guys like Brock and Roman who aren't there every week, but you have Cody that can go out there and cut a promo that keeps
Right.
them relevant. Same with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman's the exact same way. The reason why
Yeah.
you see Paul Heyman every week is because it's to keep those guys like Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns relevant
Yep.
because they're not going to be there with their schedules.
Right.
And that's why I feel like someone like Jay White, who we know can cut a promo, who we know can be a good wrestler, is someone they need. They need more guys like that, especially if you're going to continue to go the way you're going with Roman's being champion.
Right. Yeah. So this was WWE's loss, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's really good on the mic. I don't know how he would have been in WWE, because obviously he's going to be a much more watered down version of himself.
right.
But you got a guy who could talk. I mean, look, they got LA Knight there, a guy who can talk. Where's he been?
Yeah,
Come on, man. You don't look. Yes, Jay White would have been a great pickup for WWE, but they already got LA Knight right there, who is also great on the mic, who can talk. He wasn't even on WrestleMania. Shane McMahon got his spot. And y'all saw what happened to Shane McMahon, right? So, I mean, that's why I have no faith in this company. If they would have brought it, if Jay White would have decided to go over there, look what they're doing with LA Knight, man. They got gold in LA Knight. This guy could be a
they
star
do.
now, and
Yep.
we barely see him.
He's a much older wrestler too. He's in his late
Yeah,
30s, early 40s.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Right now, he could be a star. Right now is where you gotta come on, like this guy has it. Make him a star now. He's obviously not your future, but he's your now, like right
Yeah.
now. Make him a star now. You know.
You're right. He could be someone like JBL who, you know, for a while was just kind of lost in the shuffle, but once he hit. And once he was over, that was it. He was a
Yeah.
huge heel. You have like you said it perfectly. You have Golden LA Knight. He could be one of your biggest heels today. You just got to
Yeah.
capitalize on it.
You gotta capitalize. It's something you got right now in your hands. Make him a star. But
Yeah.
again, yeah, that's an example right there as to why Jay White didn't go over there. Right.
So so Vince McMahon being the main reason, Ricky. Now that he's back in power, what does this mean? Is like how bad is it for WWE that this guy still calling the shots?
I think it's bad in the short term. Long term, I don't think he'll. I don't know, man. I'm I'm wondering if you know, it's like I'm waiting. I'm just waiting to see Triple H getting released now. At this point, with how I mean, as much as I don't want to see it, but if Stephanie McMahon left the company, why wouldn't Triple H? Right.
Yeah.
Um. So especially now, the reports coming out that Vince McMahon now has final say. Now he overrules Triple H in creative. Triple H is still head of creative, but it's just a title now. It's
Yeah,
not.
it's nothing.
It's nothing.
I mean,
Um,
it means just as much as you and I
and I
being
think, yeah, and I think once again, it's going to affect WWE in securing free agents or guys, re-signing with the company. I don't know if you heard, but Drew McIntyre, his contract is coming up, and it's said that they're still far apart in securing a deal with him.
Yeah, I've heard rumblings that he wasn't happy, but then now, but at the same time, I'm hearing it's more of an injury. It's why you haven't been seeing him. Regardless of the fact, it's not good.
Well, that's there. That, I mean, I think that's separate. Yeah, it's injury, but there is reports that he is unhappy, and I think it comes down. He's unhappy with creative. He's unhappy with the money that he's not
Yeah,
receiving, and you know, so that's one to watch right now. I still think he'll sign with WWE, but if it's really that bad, if he doesn't want Vince McMahon back in power, we don't know what he feels about Vince McMahon. But if that's the case, it's like I said, I think with Vince McMahon being back in power, they're gonna have a hard time retaining some of these guys within the company as well as signing free agents that potentially could have came over here, but just don't want to deal with the old man.
yeah, guys and girls, because
Yeah,
there's been rumors about Bailey being unhappy about what's going on with her and her situation. Now, let's not forget who her best friend is.
Sasha
Um,
Banks,
Mercedes
Mercedes.
Mercedes Monet, aka Sasha Banks, who left and is now at New Japan Pro Wrestling doing her thing. I mean, what's to say that that's not influencing Bailey at all?
Yeah,
I can still be successful elsewhere. You know what I mean?
exactly. Vince
Yeah.
McMahon was the reason why she left, and then
Yep.
when she had a chance to come back, trying to renegotiate with Triple H when Triple H was in power, I think she even was like, nah, Vince McMahon will be back, and like I'm not even gonna take a chance, and I want to go and do my own thing, and that's what she did. So yeah, that's a real possibility that
She's
Bailey.
not the only one. Naomi still hasn't come back.
No, I don't think she is either.
She
And I
she's
thought,
been doing she's been doing programs with Jade Cargill from AEW on other promotions, doing other stuff.
yeah, yeah,
So
she might end up in AEW for all we know. But
yeah.
Tony Khan loves his former WWE superstars. He'll sign them all up.
Well, he needs them in the women division. That I'll say. As far as the men goes, unless it's someone like Drew McIntyre, leave him alone. But
Oh no, if Drew McIntyre's available,
yeah,
you
you
need to
get him.
bring him in. Oh yeah,
100%. I agree with
yeah,
that. But as far as the women division goes, he needs someone like Naomi. He needs someone like Mercedes Monet, someone like Bailey. Grab your WWE female superstars because they can thrive in your company,
yeah.
and it's more talent to use. And what I feel is still a lackluster type of division in AEW.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. They need more women in that division. That's for sure.
they brought in Valkyrie, and she just doesn't do it for me, man. She's feuding with Jade Cargill. She just doesn't do it for me.
Uh,
It's I don't know, but yeah, Vince McMahon being back in power is not good. It's not a good thing for WWE. We're just in wait and see mode to see what exactly happens. It's
yeah.
not a coincidence that Roman's still champion. Brock Lesnar is now. It seems like he's in a main event backlash again with Cody Rhodes because there's also reports that Roman's not even going to wrestle on Backlash. I mean, who? They have no program going for him other than Cody,
No.
and Cody's not with Brock.
Yeah.
How does that make sense? This is exactly what I was talking about with him winning at WrestleMania. I said this last time we were on, Ricky. I said this. I said if Roman wins
Hmm.
and retains the title for this 1,000-day reign, it's not gonna make sense or it's storyline wise for anything going forward. Now look, you don't see Roman.
Right.
He's back at home doing whatever he wants.
Yep.
There's nobody in line for that title shot. Nobody. There's no number one contender announced.
No.
There's nobody in the wings waiting for him to come back. It
Right.
was supposed to be Cody. And now Cody is going to be wrestling Brock. This is exactly. He's the double champ.
Oh man.
You're about to start a draft
Look,
for both
I
Raw
agree.
and SmackDown.
Yeah. Look, I agree. I agree with you right there 100% that it doesn't make any sense now that Roman is still champion. But when we were talking about WrestleMania, I told you he's retaining. Why? Because the plan all along was for Roman to retain this year. Remember, the original opponent was The Rock. He didn't want to do it. Then he went to Stone Cold Steve Austin. He didn't want to do it. Cody was the third option. And so if The Rock was the original opponent, you could nobody could see that The Rock was going to beat Roman, right? I think they had it in their mind all along. We got it. We want this guy to make 1,000 days as champion, so that way they can brag about it for years to come, right? Because
Right.
that's all they're about. They're all about legacy. They're all about bragging that we're great here. We're awesome and this and that. Blah blah blah. We had the longest reigning champion, Universal Champion. So that was the plan all along. That was why I said that Roman was retaining, even if it didn't, if it made whether it made sense or not. I knew he was retaining, and sure enough, he did. But now they're in this predicament again, like you said. He's taking time off again, and then you got Cody feuding with Brock, which I believe 100% was a Vince McMahon decision. And
It's a good feud. Don't get me wrong. I'm not mad that they're in a program together.
me neither.
I'm just mad that Cody's not champion.
I think he still will be, but look, I think he still will be champion. I think what they're doing is they want him to go through adversity. They want him to go through the beast, Brock Lesnar. They might even beat him in this first. They might have a program, and for all we know, Brock might even win this first match. So they, I think what they're trying to do the long road with Cody Rhodes, they want him to go through adversity because if you think about it, leading up to WrestleMania, he was handed everything on a silver platter.
He was
Number
undefeated before
number
WrestleMania.
30 and number 30 in the Royal Rumble, one of the last four when he came in. And then, I mean, did you think they were actually just going to put the title on just like that? I didn't think so. I didn't think so. So, especially against beat a guy who have they invested in for the last 7 years, Roman Reigns. They desperately for 7 years try to make this guy the guy in WWE, right?
Yeah.
They were. So you think they were going to bring a guy who went away for 7 years, comes back after creating a rival company, and they were going to have him beat their biggest star that they put a lot of time in? I didn't think so, bro. I don't think so. It wasn't going to happen. Not yet.
Okay, well, go. You
And
make good points.
it makes sense. It makes
Yeah, it
sense.
does. It
Just
does. And
wipe the stardust out of your eyes and open your
good
eyes,
pun. Good pun.
it makes sense.
Um, when you mentioned The Rock, I rolled my eyes a little bit because the rumors are back up that The Rock and Roman at WrestleMania 40 are something they want. I really do hope that's just nonsense.
I don't think.
At,
I think The
at this,
Rock's done, man. He's done without even saying that he's done. He just needs to retire. He just needs to say he's done. Come on,
yeah,
Rock.
I really do hope Roman doesn't go all the way up to WrestleMania 40 as a champion. If that happens, I have a feeling WWE is going to lose a lot of fans. I mean, like, it's funny right now. Like if you go on TikTok, you see a lot of different TikToks: Roman versus Jesus, Roman versus Thanos, Roman versus
Mhm.
Optimus Prime, Roman versus Goku, Vegeta, and Broly, and he still
He beats
comes
him
out the
up.
winner.
He
Nobody
beats
can
him up.
beat this guy.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I enjoy watching it, but it's funny now until it gets tiresome. Who else are you going to throw at him just for him to beat? And why? Why do that when he's at the tail end of his career?
Sort of. Sort of. I wouldn't say he's at the tail end, but yeah, he's
He's
close.
not gonna.
He's
He's not gonna
close to
pick
the
up.
tail end.
Yeah, but he's not gonna pick up a full time schedule ever again.
No, he's not.
That's like
He,
giving a dog. That's like giving a dog the best meat in the world. How can you give him back dog? The generic dog food when you just
I
gave
think.
him
I
grade
think
A
he.
ham. You know?
Right. Right. I think eventually he'll reach the Brock Lesnar status where he's getting paid per appearance.
Yeah.
That's where he's heading. I still think he's going to do this for a long time, just like how Brock is still doing this. You know?
That's a good segue, Ricky. Logan Paul, who's a part time wrestler, inked his new deal with WWE. Roman
Mhm.
Reigns, who's a part time wrestler, Brock Lesnar is a part time wrestler, but these guys are being heavily featured in one of the big and in the biggest spots on the biggest pay per views with the biggest matches. I have a question, which is this good or bad for wrestling?
Mhm.
Before we do that, um, let's get into let me show you a couple of videos from what people think about part-time wrestling. Specifically, I'm gonna bring up Roman Reigns here.
Right.
This is Roman Reigns. He was on Bleacher. I think it was Bleacher Report, and he talks about him being part-time in WWE.
Right.
my setup, and they can all say what they want. Every single one of them would take my deal if they could get it, but they just can't get it. They'll get a big fat no, and there's nothing they can do about it. But they can say what they want. Seth, any of them. Seth would take my deal if he would take my dates. He'd love to get my money, but it's not for him. It's the tribal chief setup. That's just the way it is.
Do you feel a lot of that jealousy?
No.
For lack of a better word?
No. I mean, I don't make myself available to it. And it's one of those things that if it was happening, I would hear about it.
Well, see, basically goes on and says if it was happening, he would hear about it, but it doesn't. He doesn't hear it. And he said if it did, and if it did come up to him, he would invite it to his face, but it just won't come. That being said, with Roman, we just talked about it, Ricky. Again, nowhere to be found. Not going to be wrestling on Backlash.
Yep.
Is this schedule that he has good for wrestling? Is it good for WWE right now?
I think it's good just for him. That's good for him. And he's not telling no lies here, man. No lies detected here. You don't think Seth Rollins would take that deal? You don't think Cody Rhodes would take that? Dude, come on. Everybody was saying the same thing about Brock, right? Everybody was complaining about Brock's schedule. And and at that time, Roman was full time. He was working. He was there every week.
Yep,
every week. And now he's reached where Brock is. CM Punk used to complain about this when The Rock would come in and take his spot against John Cena. Now look at CM Punk. I'm sure. I mean, being in AEW is like a part-time schedule, but you think he would want to come back to WWE? Working full time? No. Not at his age. Not with his with his body being broken and all that, and the the big star status that he has now. So no lies detected here. As far as is it good for WWE? I would say 50-50. The reason I say that is because when you have someone like Roman Reigns who's not there every week, when he does show up, it's special.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. That's the whole reason why Brock Lesnar, even still now, is a big deal when he shows up. Everybody's excited to see Brock Lesnar. Everybody wants to tune in to see Brock Lesnar when he shows up. Sure. Same thing with Roman Reigns. But when you see guys every week, you get tired. They just become another guy in the roster and in the pecking order, and you're just like, it's Seth Rollins, whatever. We saw him last week. But then Roman Reigns sounds like, hey, the Tribal Chief's coming. I want to see what he's gonna do, what he's gonna say, or what Brock's gonna do even better. So it's good and bad.
That's a good point. What about Logan Paul, Ricky? Now that he inks his new deal, another guy on the roster who's not there every week, not there selling the shows every week, but when he does show up, it's to promote the big pay-per-views, it's to have the big matches at the big pay-per-views, and and don't get me wrong, the man does what he has to do. He sells himself in the match, and the performance he puts on is always 5-star. He's great. I want to ask, is him signing a new deal good for WWE? Being that he's an influencer, being that he's just a celebrity, who basically takes up time and spots from the wrestlers who are there full time. And before you answer that, here I want to bring this video up of Becky Lynch. This was heard during WrestleMania week, interviewing with E! News about about Logan Paul.
The Miz.
The Miz.
I have to know, were you ever a Logan Paul fan before he became the wrestler Logan Paul?
God, no. No. I didn't know who these Paul brothers were until they started doing boxing. And I was like, why do people love these people?
So I want to know, what is your take on influencers becoming wrestlers?
I don't love it.
You don't love it?
I don't love it. I mean, what's he doing? 2-3 matches a year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I work 52 weeks a year. I take my baby on the road. You've traveled with your child. You know how troubling that is. You know the effort that takes. To do that 52 weeks a year because I love this and because we have to make the touts. That's fans come to see us every single week, 3, 4, 5 times a week. We make the towns. We do that. And to come in and just get the big
It froze what she said, but to come in and to get the big matches and the big pay-per-views, it's and not put in the time effort that they put, it's basically, it's insulting and she doesn't like it.
Right.
She has sentiment. She has a point there.
She does. Yeah.
But for WWE, someone like Logan Paul is big time because of his followers, because of his
Yeah.
name, because of because of everything that he brings to WWE, and not to mention the guy is amazing in the ring. He's a natural in the ring.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer for them to sign him. But what's your state on this?
I mean, yeah, I get it. For the wrestling purist, yeah, it has to be frustrating. The ones that really came from nothing, started in the indies or whatever, or in a developmental system and worked their way up, you know, through a battle, through all the injuries and all the time away from their family. I get it. I'm sure it's very frustrating for them. But when you're a promoter and you're a business owner, and I'm looking at this as a business promoter perspective, you want to sell tickets, you want to sell pay-per-views, you want to bring in ratings, you want to bring in interest. And when you bring in influencers and celebrities, um, that drives up a lot of revenue, that drives up everything. And so is it a good or bad thing for the business? It's a good thing for the business. Not so much for, not so much for the wrestlers that have been there and are there every week and grinding it out. I feel for them. But I remember my son little Ricky would ask me, like, what's the best way to get into pro wrestling now? And I told him there's only really two ways. All right. You either need to be born into a wrestling family, like Roman Reigns, the Anoa'i family, Cody Rhodes coming from, being Dusty's son. You either got to be born into a wrestling family or you got to be a celebrity. If you're a celebrity and you're a big wrestling fan and you want to do this, they're not going to turn you away. The WWE has a performance center. They'll bring you in and they'll help you work. They'll work you into shape. But if you ask me, those are the two best ways to get into wrestling if you want to be a wrestler.
Not the only. I agree with you. Those are the two easiest ways in.
Yeah.
There's still the old school mentality way of working in the indies, getting over.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to get over.
You have
to get over to get noticeable.
Yeah.
And nowadays the best way to do that is through social media. So in a way, you're kind of right. Like Logan Paul, you need the following to gain attention from anybody in the big leagues.
Yep.
So you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all.
No. If you want to be a wrestler now, go on YouTube, start making videos, make yourself go viral, become famous, right? And then if you have an itch to do pro wrestling, all you got to do is just contact McMahon or Paul Levesque, Triple H. We're like, we'll bring you in. Hey, we got the performance center. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, right. They have the following. They're athletic. They're let's bring them in. Let's train them. Why not?
Exactly. So, yeah, there is still but I do feel for these guys and girls who've been there, and they were doing it. They started from the bottom, worked their way up to the top. I get it, man. It's got to be ultra frustrating. But yeah, those are the best ways to get in, man. They really are, and it's good. It's good for business. So if I hope I answered your question, is it good for WWE? It absolutely is. It's good for business.
To me, I agree with you. It is good as long as the matches are good. Someone like Logan Paul and Bad Bunny, we know can perform good matches, so it makes 100%, sense why they're there.
Right.
But like for the wrestlers that aren't featured, that are getting their time slots taken away because of them, that's where you look at EW and you're like, you don't see much of this going on over there. You don't see much celebrities or influencers over there, hardly any at all.
Right.
So it's like, what's stopping them from going over there? And that's why when you're Tony Khan, you're like, you know what? Hey, this is everything WWE does, regardless, is good business for me. Whether it's Vince McMahon coming back or them giving the spotlight to Logan Paul or Bad Bunny coming up at bat, he's gonna have a match with Dominic and Ray and them. He's taking away TV time and stuff like that. That's good for AEW because they don't do stuff like that. At least not yet. And it's the one thing I could commend AEW for is they try to give as much TV time to everybody as possible.
Right.
That's why you see a lot of 6-man tag matches or battle royals, because they're at least trying to incorporate everybody on the roster.
At
It
least
gets a bit annoying, but at the same time they're at least doing it.
Right. There's still some people on that roster that I'm scratching my head like, why are these guys not on TV? But but again, yeah, you're right. They're trying to get some of these guys TV time, and you don't see celebrities over there like that all that much or at
No,
all.
at
And
all.
these are all guys that have worked their way there, and they're trying to become big stars in that company.
Yeah. So I mean, WWE could keep doing it, but you could hear in Becky Lynch's voice. It is bothering.
Oh yeah.
Let's play 2 more clips, Ricky. And this one's about Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Cody Rhodes, when he came back last year at WrestleMania, had a feud with Seth Rollins, beats him every single time they wrestled. Comes back for Royal Rumble, gets the spotlight, going right back into WrestleMania. He's the guy right now. It seems like he's their biggest star, biggest baby face. Going for them is Cody. He's over.
Yeah.
You have someone like Seth who's been doing this for so long, and there's some animosity between him and Cody. They really don't like each other in real life. Cody's went on and said it. Seth has gone on and said it. And I want to play this video and get your reaction on what you feel both from Seth and Becky on the situation.
Okay.
Let me play Seth first.
With Cody, I can't get into too many details on that. Bottom line is, I feel, based on my body of work and what I've contributed to this company over the course of the last decade, really, I should be in that position, right? I'm the one who has held it down while he drifted off and went and did his own thing. Respect to him for that. Great. He drifted off, did his own thing. I'm the one who held it down. When everybody got hurt or did something else, or went off or took part-time schedules or wanted to do less and ask for more or wanted to go somewhere else because they weren't happy. You don't think there's been plenty of times when I haven't been happy or plenty of times when I haven't felt like I've been on the short end of the stick? There's tons of stories I could tell about that, but I don't. I keep it to myself. I put my head down. I work hard, vouch for this company. I vouch for this place. I feel like what he's getting is not, I'm just not entirely comfortable with it. And I don't know any other way to put it than that. And I think that just creates some natural friction between the two of us. And so, He
goes on and says, when tempers flare, but he's just not comfortable with Cody getting that position that should be his.
Right.
I mean, a lot to unpack there. When guys like, he didn't want to name names, but when guys like Roman takes part-time schedules, Brock takes part-time schedules, when guys like Moxley, who goes on and leaves when they're not happy in the company, Seth is basically saying, hey, look, I've been here every single week, every time. I haven't taken any breaks, haven't complained. I shut up, I come to work, and I do my thing.
Yep.
And there's jealousy there. There's definitely jealousy there. The fact that he's not in the spotlight, he's not in that position Cody is in.
Right.
I guess the question is, does he have a point? But real quick, let's hear from Becky Lynch on it before I get your reaction, just so that way we're not
his wife.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, from his wife, but she makes a good point as well. She does make a good point as well. So let's hear from Becky Lynch, his wife, on the same question.
Becky Lynch.
Main event of WrestleMania. It's gonna be big. I don't know that Cody's ready for it yet.
Says a lot.
I don't know that Cody's ready for it yet. I wonder if it should have been Seth Rollins in that spot. I wonder if he should have been walking out after everything he's done for the past several years, his whole career. Damn it, been carrying this company on his back. Cody walked away, came back. He's getting.
Yeah, well, the video's still buffering, but basically saying Cody came back, got the spotlight. Should have been Seth. That's her husband.
Right.
She was talking to Stephen A. Smith.
Obviously.
Well, but
there's a little bias there. I mean,
yeah, of course, there's a little bias there, 100%. But it does give, I feel like it does. That video does put into perspective that, it's not just Seth thinking it.
Right.
You
Right,
know,
right.
you and I, we've have significant others. We can still disagree with them. Becky doesn't.
Right.
Her opinion is definitely well perceived, but but again, yeah, going back to the question itself,
Hmm.
was Cody ready for the main event of WrestleMania?
I've
Was
always
he forced,
go ahead, go ahead.
or did Seth, or did you think someone like Seth deserved that position?
I said it. You've heard me say it.
Yeah,
I didn't think he was ready yet, but I understand why they put him in that position because you know they were bringing a guy who came from the other company. It was a big win for WWE to secure the guy who helped create the competition, and
yeah,
that they actually lured him back over here. I mean that was a big win for WWE, huge.
yeah.
So they obviously wanted to put him in the spot. They also wanted to show everybody on that roster that you can get over when you come over here. Blah blah blah. This and that. So I agree with Becky. I don't think he was ready. I think he needed to go through some type of adversity before getting to that title shot. And it looks like that's what they're going to. They're going to now before he actually wins the title. So that looks like what it's going on now. What's going on right now? Seth Rollins, yeah, I do believe he should have been in some sort of prime spot in WrestleMania because he has been there. He has been working hard. He is one of the most over guys in that company. Every time he comes out, everybody's singing along to his song, to his entrance music. The dude is over, and he absolutely deserved a much bigger spot in the card than against Logan Paul. In my opinion, Logan Paul's great in the ring, but I think Seth Rollins deserves better.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good match. I'm glad they had Seth win it, but again, it's like, where do you go now? Where does he go from there now? In my opinion, this is why I said Cody should have won at Mania, because then you can have Seth go for that title. Then he's put in the main event picture. Whether he wins or loses, he's at least in that position that Cody was in, going for the title.
Hmm.
Week in, week out, main event, big time draw kind of guy. And
Yeah,
now what? Now he just waits to see what they're going to do. And he wasn't. I didn't see him on Raw last night. The Raw after WrestleMania, the watered down Raw after WrestleMania, which nothing happened,
yeah,
just came out. Just came out for the crowd to sing his song, and it wasn't even as electric as it should have been.
no,
So
no,
it's like, what do you do with Seth Rollins now? Who do you feud with? Austin Theory again for the U.S. title? Makes no sense.
no, it doesn't. Or you could have even put him in the spot against Roman. He could have beat Roman, and then Cody beats him again. That. Or yeah, I agree. He deserves a much bigger spot in in the pecking order. And even though I don't think he'll leave. I think he would benefit from leaving. Actually, to be honest,
Yeah,
Seth Rollins,
I do. I
he would
agree.
absolutely benefit from taking a break from WWE and going somewhere and then reinvent himself. Even though I don't think he's going to do it, because look at John Moxley did that,
John
and
Moxley was a
right
perfect
now he's
example.
one of yeah, John Moxley.
He
Yeah, he was Dean.
you bring
Bro,
you,
it's like I said, Dean Ambrose and John Moxley were two completely different people.
dude. You bring in
Completely.
John Moxley now to WWE, huge difference. He gets that spot Cody's in. You bring in John Moxley back to WWE,
Yeah.
he's in the main event picture.
Yeah.
The man is night and day, Ricky. The difference between John Moxley and Dean Ambrose, both the same guy, but the difference between the two is night and day.
Night and day.
Crazy.
Oh yeah.
I agree with you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I agree with you. I think Seth Rollins leaves, reinvents himself like Moxley did,
Yeah.
and you come back, and I mean, why not?
Because dude, if you're at the point where you feel like you're underappreciated, even though you say, "Oh, I've been here, I never went nowhere, I'm not asking for part time," sometimes you need to do that, man. A lot of guys who work a lot of guys who work full time schedules, they always complain about the part timers. They always complain about oh, they come in, they take my spot, they're never here. But eventually, they're all gonna reach the age where they need a part time schedule, and by that point, they're gonna be bigger stars. Some of
Yeah.
them. And then when they offer it to you, it's just like what Roman said in the other clip. Are you going to turn it down? Hell no. You're not going to turn it down. You're not.
It's the circle of life, basically, in
Yeah,
the in wrestling business.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he would benefit from, stepping away from WWE, going somewhere else, but I don't think he'll do it. But
Yeah, I
it
agree.
would be good for him, though.
I agree. All right, Ricky, real quick before we end the show, what was your overall thought on WrestleMania? Was it a good card? Where does it rank for you? Did you agree with the matches, the decisions that they made? What
Mhm.
was your reaction to WrestleMania as a whole?
I think night one was the best out of the two. I think I
Yeah,
enjoyed night one a lot more. The main event with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and the Usos was a great main event. It was exactly what it needed to be. It was great to watch both those guys beat the Usos, end their reign, and become tag team champions for the first time together, Owens and Zayn. So I love that. Um, my favorite match was I love the Rey Mysterio and Dominic, and especially the entrances when Ray came out to Eddie's music. Like, oh man,
dude, that hit us all in the fields
that
for
that
sure.
hit that hit, man. It really hit for me too.
It hit us
Um,
all in the fields, and before we, I mean, can we give love to Dominic, man? Because this guy, I'm not gonna lie. I thought when he first, was when he first arrived on the scene, I was like, I don't see it. They're doing it because of Ray, and his
yeah,
status in the WWE. No, but he is really taking on his own mantle here. I mean, amazing work from Dominic on the mic, in the ring. Huge, huge heel. He is Ricky. When he comes in, I don't think they're pumping in crowd noise. That's legitimate boos and reaction
oh,
from the
that's
crowd.
legit. That's
That
legit. Yeah,
that, that kid has it right now.
yeah. It's amazing what a heel turn can do for somebody's career.
Yeah,
If only
yeah,
they figured that out with Roman, a lot earlier than what they
a lot
did, right?
sooner.
A lot
Yeah,
sooner. Yeah. Amazing what a heel turn can do. But yeah, I agree with you, man. That dude he turned the corner for me.
he really
Absolutely
did.
one of the biggest heels in the company now.
Yep.
And the what else? What else? I'm trying to remember, man. The Gunther match with Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, probably one of my favorite matches of both nights.
Oh
It
yeah,
was it
hard
was just
hitting.
it was just
Oof.
yeah, just hard hitting. I mean, just what
Rough.
you expect. Gunther's
Yep.
gonna be a big star, man.
He is.
Gunther, I'm just wait. As soon as I'm just waiting for him to get into the title picture now. I mean, that dude is just great. One of the best things that the NXT has built up. Even though he started out as Walter, but you know, Gunther's a big star, man. He's gonna be a big star.
His persona is perfect too, because it's like
Yeah.
he's like a wrestling purist that that like Nazi type of guy. Like this has to be the way type of thing, but it's so good. He's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
he hasn't even scratched the surface yet. When I think when the fans, when they start to really see what he's capable of, oh my god, yeah, people are gonna be in love with him for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, what else? The main event with Roman and Cody, it's what I expected. The only thing I would probably change is, I mean, come on, man. Roman, I know he's a heel, but all this constant interferences in his matches, like what? This dude can't win a match on his own. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like they did that to protect Cody.
Yeah,
That's why I really feel Cody is someone they look at as a top guy because he's already making one of the top three guys he was getting paid in the company. His merchandise sales is one of the top three guys in the company. I mean, they're saying that everything about him right now is main event star type of level. So
yeah,
that's why I feel like they're protecting him. They protected. He was undefeated up until Roman Reigns, and even when he lost to Roman, it had to be because Roman cheated. That says a lot about Cody, or at least how they feel about Cody.
yeah. But then it also says a lot about Roman. Like he can't win a match by himself. It's always constant interference. Solo Sokoa interfered. I don't know how many times in that match.
Yeah, the
So
Usos was in it.
yeah. So I mean, other than that, I expected him to retain. I know a lot of people expected Cody to win, but I was in the minority that I thought Roman was going to retain, and sure enough, that's what it was. It's good for business right now, or it was. But
I don't
um,
know how it is, but I guess
you know,
it's good. It's good for history. How about that? It's good for
good for
history purposes.
good for history.
You know, it's
Yeah,
good for history purposes. But right as of right now, not having your double champ when you're about to go into a draft, when you're going to start separating superstars and separating brands again like you used to,
yeah,
you need two champions. That's how that works.
right.
I mean, I get it. You have Gunther, who's the intercontinental. He could be the top guy, but the intercontinental title isn't the same as a WWE championship. So that you can't, as much as you could have Gunther in a main event, which is great, you can't sell me that it's bigger than a WWE championship. You can't.
Right. Well,
and that's their issue.
Well, that's about it. I was upset that we didn't see any Bobby Lashley or LA Knight on the show. Instead, Shane McMahon and Pat McAfee took those spots. I think.
Yep.
The thing with Shane McMahon, everybody's gonna remember Snoop Dogg saving that segment too. It was one of the most funniest things I've seen with Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Other than that, man, overall good show. Good show. One of the best WrestleManias that we've seen in a while.
Yeah, I agree. It was great. It was fun to watch. A lot of good matches. It sets up what goes on later on this year, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen. So, WWE still has my heart, still has my eyes. I'm watching it week in, week out. So let's see where they take us here.
Yeah.
But that is the main event here, brought to you by Star 6 Media. Huge thank you to my brother Enrique Contreras for hopping on every week as always, and thank you all for watching. This will air once again tonight at 8 p.m. If you're watching at 8 p.m., thank you for watching. We really appreciate you guys. But Ricky, before we leave, anything you want to say to the folks at home?
Thanks, guys, for anybody that's tuned in. Thanks for the support, and we're glad to be back, and we'll be here. We'll be here every week, man.
We'll be here consistently every week, even if we got to record earlier. We'll be on live earlier, and then we'll have it at 8 p.m. every Tuesday for you guys here on Star 6 Media. For Enrique Contreras, I'm Jose Contreras. Thank you guys once again for watching the main event podcast. Thanks, and we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the